Lily Montague Taylor stood 4 feet 11 inches and might have weighed 100 pounds when layered with her heaviest stockings and coats for the cruel Colorado winters. She read her Bible every day, made casserole for all the infirm and new mothers on her congregation's prayer list, and spent her Tuesday and Thursday nights with the other Stitch-In sisters making quilts for the veterans at the local VA hospital. On any given night, she made 3 separate dinners to ensure that her husband and 2 boys each had their favorite meals. Her kindness made her an easy target for the charms of her children. Her youngest Daryl had always given her trouble. When he was born, she hemorrhaged so badly she required a full hysterectomy and was hospitalized for weeks. After Daryl's 4th arrest, she realized the circumstances of his birth had been an omen, and her womb was the first of many sacrifices she would make for him. He started stealing money from her at age 9 and started drinking at 13. The first time she caught him and the neighbor boy with some lifted moonshine, she whipped him with a switch she forced him to cut from one of the eucalyptus trees in the grove surrounding their home. He later repented and promised he would go to church with her on Sunday and get right with the Lord. To his credit, he did attend church and repent, but it never lasted long. By the time he entered high school, Lily and Daryl had fallen into a predictable pattern. He would go out drinking, forget his size and lack of strength, pick a fight, get arrested, call his mother to bail him out, endure a tongue lashing, promise to attend church, repent on Sunday, and a week or so later would be back in a dirt field, chugging cheap malt liquor and getting his nose bloodied by the boyfriend of a girl he was trying to pick up. By age 16, Daryl had given up on the remorseful sinner charade. This was the part that broke Lily's heart. Daryl came home one night too drunk to care that it was 1 in the morning, too sloppy to get food out of the refrigerator without waking everyone in the house, and too cocky to worry about being punished by his parents. Lily started in on him. "Daryl, have you been drinking?" "Of course not, Mama," he belched as he smirked and shoved leftover pork chops in his mouth. "Daryl, you're as drunk as a skunk. You can't even stand up straight. Claude, what are you going to do about this?" Claude had fished through most of Daryl's childhood and had considered parenting to be mostly Lily's responsibility. He had been on the periphery of this exact conversation dozens of times, and each time he felt himself get farther and farther away. "Lily, the boy is all but grown. What exactly do you want me to do?" "Yeah, Mama. What do you want Daddy to do? Spank me?" Daryl provoked through a mouthful of meat. The thought made both him and his father chuckle. Lily snapped a chair from the nearby dining room, climbed on top to position her face inches from Daryl's, and shot back in a chillingly calm voice, "You are my son, you live in my house, and I will not be disrespected." Then she carefully pushed the chair back under the dining table and went to her bedroom, Claude several paces behind her. Daryl finished the pork chops and a Tupperware full of coleslaw and staggered down to his room. He remembered to take his shoes off before passing out face first onto his bed. He awoke hours later to sharp twinges of pain on his back. Disoriented, he looked for familiar objects to help him determine his whereabouts. His eyes started to focus, and he noticed his mother's sewing basket in the corner of his dark room where he felt another sharp sting on his back. "Daryl Taylor Brewer, you have come home drunk for the last time," he heard his mom shout, as he felt more hot streaks race across his posterior. Silent and confused, he tried to lift his arms but found them pinned to his sides, his sheets swaddling his limbs tightly to his body. The needle and thread on his bedside table, the feel of his mother's ankles pressing against his hips, and the familiar smell of eucalyptus were sufficient clues for him to realize what had happened in the hours since the world around him had gone black. "Have you gone crazy?" he shouted. "Daddy, get in here. Mama has lost her goddamn mind." Claude, who had initially decided to ignore the commotion, but now felt compelled to intervene since he had been called by name, shuffled down the hall to his son's room. "Daddy, get her off of me," Daryl yelled. "I have tried helping you. I have tried praying for you. You clearly don't care that the devil has a hold of you, but this is my house, and I will not be mocked. Thwack. You will follow my rules, you hear? Thwack." Daryl mumbled more profanities as he continued to thrash in his sheets. Initially, Claude was just as confused as Daryl about what was happening. Daryl was lying on his stomach on his bed covered in a sheet. Lily, in her pink flannel nightgown, was standing on the bed above him holding a long switch. It was only after careful study did he realize that Daryl was unable to free himself because she had sewn him into his sheets. He had never seen her like this and wasn't sure if she was trying to punish him or exorcise him. Before Claude could speak, Lily turned and shot a glare and made it clear that her anger was not directed exclusively at Daryl. Lily knew her place in the family, and her eye contact let Claude know that he was getting off on a technicality. Claude withdrew back to his room, and Lily's full attention was once again on her son. "Do you understand?" Lily repeated. "Yeah, all right," he replied with exhaustion and resignation. I still don't think you get it, Daryl. I will not have any more of your defiance, disobedience, or backtalk. Do you understand? Yes. Yes, what? Yes, ma'am. With that, Lily dropped the switch, stepped off the bed, and turned to leave. She stopped in the doorway. I'll cut you out in the morning, she said without turning to face her son. I love you. I love you too, Mama, Daryl replied. She walked down the hallway to her bedroom, occasionally pausing to admire one of the hundreds of photos that lined the walls. Photos of her boys in their Easter suits, photos Claude had sent her when he was stationed in Okinawa, photos of the family trip to the Grand Canyon. As she got closer to her room, the boys in the photos got smaller and chubbier. She stopped in front of an off-kilter picture taken of her and Daryl on the day she had finally been permitted to leave the hospital. She looked weak and tired, but proud as she held her new baby boy. She had been in hard labor for nearly 12 hours, and the doctor said it was a miracle when he finally emerged from her body. She had given her sweat and her tears, and it hadn't been enough, and when she gave her blood, that was nearly insufficient as well. Her reminiscing was interrupted by the sound of Claude snoring on the other side of the door. Lily carefully straightened the frame and then climbed into bed.